2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I love that at the exact same point that we're about ready to go on, then Facebook just completely freezes up. Not able to get anything up and going. We finally got the live video stream up there. We finally were able to share it out to all the pages that we needed to. It's been a day. Hey, welcome into the broadcast. It is a Thursday, the pre-Friday celebration, as some are saying, the Thirsty Thursday celebration. Don't worry, we have a heck of a lot to get to today, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship station, all over the country, on radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at. Thanks for hanging out with us today. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser, and we have so much to try and get to, so I have been waiting. It's perfect timing. As yesterday when we talked about the latest that I was aware of when it comes to the presidential election and the latest when it comes to the investigations against voter fraud, against corruption. And I said yesterday, the big money maker in this election fraud investigation is going to be the servers, the Dominion servers and the algorithms used in the Dominion servers. And that's going to be what's really going to pull us over the finish line. It's not going to be we weren't able to observe the ballots. We weren't able to observe this. They were unconstitutional, not allowing us here. And that's going to be part of it. But I don't know if you paid attention to the press conference earlier today when it came to Rudy Giuliani and the attorneys talking about these multiple cases that they have. The media completely lying to us. They've been really silent lately. The media not even wanting to cover these press conferences today. And it really reassured me about what we've been feeling, that this is fraudulent. We have been taken, so to speak, when it comes to the fraudulent votes in the nation. And now that we have a little bit of information, we can actually run with it. We can actually understand. It's not just based on hope and faith right now, waiting for everything to happen. Everybody keeps saying the Kraken's about ready to happen. The mic's about ready to be dropped. The bomb's about ready to be released. Okay, that's nice, but where is it? What's going on? Well, today, I think that finally happened, and it's right in time, too, with the time frame that Donald Trump released last week, saying that all of it would be released this week. Well, guess what? It was all released today. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire press conference that Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell and some of these others actually had and what they talked about. I think it's important, and I have some audio clips that we will play. But to kind of sum it all up, Joe Biden going down. Joe Biden going down. And again, we've been a little cautiously optimistic. We've been wanting to verify, wanting to trust but verify, and we want to make sure that this is going to play out properly. In too many cases, especially in court, you have some great evidence, but then it kind of falls through the cracks, or something kind of falls through that it shouldn't have, or the case maybe isn't as strong as what we anticipated, or whatever they try to come up with on the other side of the aisle to downplay what we're coming up with. But now, guess what? Rudy Giuliani, I don't know about Rudy Giuliani. I mean, he's the one that's kind of fronting part of it. But his side of it, I'm not too terribly concerned about, to be honest with. According to him, he's got enough voter fraud proof to show that he could more than double what we need to flip the states of, what did you say? All of them. Georgia, Pennsylvania, even Virginia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, and even New Mexico. He said that he's got enough proof to flip more than double the amount that we need to actually flip these states back to Trump at the end of the day. If that's true, that's awesome. If he's able to do it, that's fantastic. I don't know that he has enough. What he did say, though, was very encouraging to me.
I would say we're probably going to bring a lawsuit in Arizona. More than probably. I think we are going to bring a lawsuit in Arizona. We're still collecting that evidence. And the state that we're looking at that would surprise you is we have very, very significant amount of fraud allegations in the state of New Mexico, and we have a significant number of allegations in the state of Virginia. I don't know yet whether the number in Virginia will reach the number that can turn the election. In the states that we have indicated in red, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona, we more than double the number of votes needed to overturn the election in terms of provable illegal ballots. All you got to do to find out if I'm misleading you at all is to look at the lawsuits.
All right, so that's what he said at the press conference today. Now, if that's the case, we have provable evidence to more than double the amount of numbers that we need to flip these states back into Donald Trump's range. That's awesome. If that's the case, if that's what we truly have, then that's fantastic. That is really encouraging news. Now, what does the media do with all this? Oh, hey, look at that. His dye of his hair is streaking down his face. And, oh, he used references of My Cousin Vinny, which I thought was hilarious. I did catch a couple of those. But here's what the media said. A headline from the Daily Mail out of the UK. Everything's in quotations. Did you catch all my cousin Vinny? Sweating Rudy Giuliani presents evidence, quote unquote, for quote unquote massive voter fraud as a hair dye runs down his face alongside quote elite legal strike force, quote unquote, who claims Joe Biden's win is a Venezuelan plot as they uncover on the interweb. Oh my. Media, first thing they do, downplay it. Second part I've noticed is that it was very difficult to even watch the press conference because social media even tried to completely block it to where you couldn't even watch the press conference. Locally, I was looking at local news sources. Nobody carried it. There was one news source that actually posted the press conference on their webpage, and it was only partial of the news conference. So I found that kind of intriguing. They're openly just saying, yeah, we don't want anything to do with this. We don't want to hear the evidence. We don't want to hear the facts. We just don't want nothing to do with this. Now, I did laugh out loud. The one part where Rudy Giuliani said, what media source are you with? And they said CNN, and he literally just bursts out laughing. I don't know, he just starts laughing because they ask a really dumb question, of course. He asks what media, and that's it. Whatever Rudy Giuliani's doing, that's fine. What he's doing, and according to him, he has enough evidence to be able to more than double flip the votes in order to flip the states for Trump. If that's the case, awesome. But like I said, what I'm really intrigued about is the second part of this, the larger, grander scale, because to me, as an analytical guy, as a guy who likes factual information, as a guy who wants hard, raw material evidence in order to back up my opinion or back up the claim that I'm making, is the part that I've been staying away from because we haven't known enough of it. It's been kind of in the rumor mills. It's been tweeting in the realms of conspiracy theorists per se, but it hasn't necessarily been something that's been out front and visual for us to see right up front for us. But now it is. Now it is. And the fact that everything has been validated based on what was said by Sidney Powell today really is just a jaw dropper. because this goes a lot deeper than just Donald Trump. This goes a lot deeper than just a server. This goes to the point of almost a global, quote-unquote, corruption and global conspiracy, where they said this program that's been used, and the purpose of this has been to rig elections since Venezuela when they created it with Hugo Chavez and with Maduro. And what did they say? They used it in Argentina, I think, with an election down there. We had the servers that were based out of Spain and Germany. Don't take my word for it. Take the head legal expert, the lawyer running Trump's legal team right now, talking about this issue. It's about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. I'm going to stop it in between here intermittently because there's some really wild information. And if this is true, which, again, I have not necessarily been like, hey, this is what's going on, but I've been cautious to talk about it because I haven't been sure if it's true or not. Well, guess what? It's here.
The Dominion voting systems, the Smartmatic technology software, and the software that goes in other computerized voting systems here as well, not just Dominion, were created in Venezuela at the direction of Hugo Chavez to make sure he never lost an election after one constitutional referendum came out the way he did not want it to come out. We have one very strong witness who has explained how it all works. His affidavit is attached to the pleadings of Lynn Wood in the lawsuit he filed in Georgia.
All right, before we go any further, for those that may not understand, for those that may be over the head, maybe you haven't paid attention to it too much, maybe you don't follow quote-unquote conspiracy theorists enough to even understand what the heck this is all about. This Dominion voting system, this Smartmatic, whatever the hell they want to call it, is a system that was apparently formed in Venezuela with Hugo Chavez because they had a vote down there. He didn't like the outcome of it, and they said, we want to make sure this doesn't happen again. So they create a software system where it's an electronic voting system that people push the ballots, and what you can do is you can actually manually manipulate the vote. You can say that if you push the button, instead of it counting as one vote, it counts as a half of a vote, or it counts as a 0.7 of a vote. You push it the other way and you hit the other answer, yes or no, and the other side of it, it can count as either a 1 full vote or 1.5 of a vote, and they can change it as a formula to do a percentage of. They can even drop in ballots. They can actually put a nice little USB connector in there, and they can manipulate it as they go. It's been known for this, and we've been using it for a long time. In fact, she went on to say they've been using it in the U.S. since like 2004. And now it's gained more traction, and now it's coming to the point to where we're starting to be aware of it. What's fascinating to me with all of this, which we'll continue on here in a second, is how they found out. How they were able to figure out the algorithm in the system. Let's listen on, shall we?
It is a stunning, detailed affidavit because he was with Hugo Chavez while he was being briefed on how it worked. He was with Hugo Chavez when he saw it operate to make sure the election came out his way. That was the express purpose for creating this software. He has seen it operate, and as soon as he saw the multiple states shut down the voting on the night of the election, he knew the same thing was happening here, that was what had gone on. Now, the software itself was created with so many variables and so many back doors that can be hooked up to the internet or a thumb drive stuck in it or whatever. But one of its most characteristic features is its ability to flip votes. It can set and run an algorithm that probably ran all over the country to take a certain percentage of votes from President Trump and flip them to President Biden, which we might never have uncovered had the votes for President Trump not been so overwhelming in so many of these states that it broke the algorithm that had been plugged into the system. And that's what caused them to have to shut down in the states they shut down in.
Did I hear that right? Did I hear that right? That they had to shut down the system when we were looking at the 4 a.m. boost for Joe Biden in many of these states. The reason that we all of a sudden saw a boost was because they had to stop counting. They had to shut down in these states. Why? Because the algorithm they set in to make sure that Joe Biden actually won the election was getting corrupted, and it was blowing up, and the system was breaking because there were so many people voting for Donald Trump. The algorithm couldn't keep up with trying to make sure Joe Biden was staying ahead. There were so many votes for Trump. So many people turned out to support Donald Trump that the algorithm they set in, that they wouldn't have been able to figure this out if the algorithm started malfunctioning because too many people were voting for Trump. That's how we figured this out. Now imagine that for a second. I want to make sure I heard that right. That's where we're at right now. Now, when we talk about people losing their way, losing faith, losing confidence in the system, or us being a center-right nation, or us losing our constitutional values, or we lose faith that so many people have been brainwashed or uneducated by the mainstream media or uneducated by our public education system, when we hear those stories, I want you to think about this for just a second right here. That there were so many people that actually turned out to support someone like Donald Trump, knowing what's really going on, putting the mainstream media to the wayside, putting the education away from the wayside when it comes to higher education. So many people turned out to Donald Trump and voted for him. It broke the algorithm that was intended to rig an election for the turnout for Joe Biden to win. Think about that for just a second. This is The Voice of Reason here on a Thursday.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe to any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Goes by way too fast. Welcome back into the show. 24 minutes past the hour. Radio, TV, live streaming, and podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, watching, listening. We do have the live stream of the video up on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. Also on Parler.com, which you can always visit us there. We're starting to see our numbers grow on Parler. Also on Minds.com as well. All of them with our handle at Hooser Reason. Doesn't matter on your YouTube, on your Facebook, on your Parler. It's all of them at Hooser Reason, Hooser Reason. You can also go to the website at HooserReason.com. What's really cool is we are continuously breaking our monthly record for people visiting the website, just checking out the stuff, the blog that we have on there, our special features that we upload on there all the time, the podcast of the show you can listen to, the live stream if you're watching it on the website. Doesn't matter. Just go to HooserReason.com. And thank you for that very much. We appreciate it as we continue on. Again, I am about data and facts and statistics and hard evidence. That's what is going to encourage me and make me feel comfortable. That's been very difficult when you're in the world of politics. That's very difficult when you get into the world of religion, because you want hard facts and hard evidence and statistics and information in order for you to feel comfortable and validate the beliefs that you have. And it's very difficult at times. And especially when it comes to voter fraud. That's why when you say, well, I can't observe those 30,000 ballots that were counted, therefore we need to throw those out. To me, at least, that's not a very strong argument. That's not a very strong case. And if that's all you got, then that's nice, but how far is that actually going to go? But this information about the Dominion saying that a vote for Trump was like 0.75 of a vote for Biden was a 1.25 of a vote, and therefore they rigged it in that sense. And then even there were so many people voting for Trump that they had to break it, and they had to say, you know what, we need to stop. We need to inject a bunch of different votes in for Joe Biden just to raise it up a little bit so that way we stay ahead. And then voila, look at that, 4:30 in the morning, Joe Biden all of a sudden pulls ahead.
It can set and run an algorithm that probably ran all over the country to take a certain percentage of votes from President Trump and flip them to President Biden, which we might never have uncovered had the votes for President Trump not been so overwhelming in so many of these states that it broke the algorithm that had been plugged into the system. And that's what caused them to have to shut down in the states they shut down in. That's when they came in the back door with all the mail-in ballots, many of which they had actually fabricated. Some were on pristine paper with identically matching perfect circle dots for Mr. Biden. Others were shoved in batches. They're always put in a certain number of batches, and people would rerun the same batch. This corresponds to our statistical evidence that shows incredible spikes in the vote counts at particular times, and that corresponds to eyewitness testimony of numerous people who have come forward and said they saw the ballots come in the back door at that time.
Hey, Bob, you got those batches of ballots? We're waiting on you. Hurry it up. Could you see this? Could anybody see this at 4 o'clock in the morning? Hey, Bob, you forgot those batch of ballots back there. Oh, that's right. Hold on. They're coming out of the printer right now. Let me get them. Let me run them through the machine. Okay, that's 1.25 per Joe Biden, every vote won. And by the way, she goes on to say, we'll play the audio clips a little bit later as well. There were identical numbers. Identical, like when they inject them and they stopped it and they had to inject some numbers into there and they put some ballots in, 325,584 ballots for Joe Biden, 112,214, whatever for Donald Trump. It was the exact amount that they saw, but yet it was the exact amount that they implemented within a 20-minute window at multiple precincts in multiple states, all at the same time. Now, tell me if I'm wrong or not, but does that sound just a little bit suspicious? Just a little bit? Of course not. Of course not. That's just how we count things, right? When we all of a sudden stop the system and things aren't just jiving right now because Donald Trump's getting way too many votes, we need to stop it, inject a whole bunch more in to make sure they're all like running smoothly, and then we can get back on track. And all of a sudden, look at that, Joe Biden pulled ahead. These are the things I've been looking for. This is what I've been wanting to hear, and they all have factual backing. They all have evidence of it. They have the proof of it because the servers are in hand. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump just won the election as soon as they present this to the Supreme Court. When we come back, Bob Latta, Congressman from the 5th District of Ohio, he'll be joining us here on the show. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, you are. Welcome back into the program. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, maybe watching or listening to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a pre-Friday celebration. Your Millennial General reporting for duty. Trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand it the Millennial Generation, one radio listener at a time. I want to get back to those audio clips from the press conference earlier today in just a little bit here. We'll take a brief moment from that as now this is a couple days old. We actually sat down with Congressman Bob Latta on Friday last week, so just about a week ago, because this week Congress is officially back in session. They started back there again on Monday. Now they're talking about some serious things like, our budget and COVID relief and some other things. So they're back in D.C., but we sat down before they went back last Friday with Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District of Ohio. We love having him on the program. We do a monthly chat with him. He's always a great guest. He's always a great sport for us to sit down with him, so we appreciate that very, very much. But here's our interview that we had, part of it, with Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th District out of Ohio. It's from the 5th District of Ohio. Congressman Bob Latta with us here. Congressman, how are you, my friend?
I'm excellent. How are you today?
I am living the dream. First off, congratulations on the re-election. I know you guys were working really hard out there, and you can continue to fight for the state of Ohio. How are you feeling right now as you get ready to go back into D.C. next week with a little bit new makeup of Congress right now in the House of Representatives? You guys have a little bit larger voice in the House now, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Because what we saw happen is that, all the posters are saying that we could lose between 10 and 15 seats. And right now we're looking at maybe a pickup of 9 seats. And so not one sitting Republican member that was running for re-election was defeated. And so we also are going to have the largest number of women on the Republican side in history. And we had a great recruiting class for women, minorities, veterans. So we had a really great class of people out there that were running. And it's great to know that they're going to be down there with us in January.
That's really good news. Now, I've heard as well, because of the different makeup, which, again, Democrats were talking about this blue tidal wave coming through. That didn't happen, obviously, when we gained seats and we narrowed that margin. Does that mean that the Democrats are actually going to have to work a little bit more with Republicans to get any legislation through? Do you still think they're going to try and just ram whatever they want to through the House?
Well, when you look at Speaker Pelosi and their leadership, and especially the far left, they don't know what negotiations are. And again, you never want to sacrifice your principles. Sometimes you can find some common ground out there. But, if you go back and just look at the 2 COVID packages that Pelosi and company came up with after we had done the other 4 that really kept things going in this country, that $3.3 trillion and $2.2 trillion package they never even talked to Republicans. And her negotiation was take it or leave it. And I really think that when we get back, especially before in this lame duck, that there's not going to be much room for negotiations. And there's two big things coming up. There's a short-term spending bill is going to expire, and then the other is that we have the National Defense Authorization Act, is how we fund the military, and that's got to be done. And so, I'll be very interested to see how they approach this. But I think that what they might be looking at is that I tell people, just tell me one piece of legislation that the Democrats passed in the last 22 months since they've been in control of the House of Representatives that's been signed into law that's one of their signatures. Nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing.
No.
They've wasted over 22 months.
It's unbelievable. I mean, they wasted so much time just trying to go after the impeachment of President Donald Trump, of just trying to talk about COVID-19 recovery bills that were $3 trillion plus that had nothing to do with stimulus and recovery for COVID, which is unfortunate because they just wanted to cram through whatever their spending packages were. Now, with such a failure in the House of Representatives over the last 2 years because of Democrats not wanting to work on anything, because of the election that we just saw with Republicans gaining more seats back over the last couple of years, I've heard some tweets internally that Nancy Pelosi may not be Speaker of the House, that even Democrats want her gone as a different speaker. Is that true? And who could you potentially see as a new speaker?
Well, right off the bat, their person who runs their campaigns on their side, a member from Illinois, she's already announced she's not running for that spot again. And so I think there's going to be, some members out there that really want to shake things up on their side. And again, the left is really want to shake things up. But you also have a lot of members that have been there for a good number of years that have been waiting their turn to go up the leadership ladder, and there's nowhere to go. Because when you look at Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and Clyburn, they've been there for, about forever. And so, on our side, we have term limits for our leaders. And so, once you're in, especially some of these jobs, especially on committees, you have only 3 terms, and then you have to step aside. It doesn't mean you have to leave the House, but you just can't be at the top of that committee anymore. But the Democrats pretty much have had it where, they can stay for as long as they want. But I think that Speaker Pelosi, I know that they had a phone call that, of course, it's supposed to be private, that was all over the press then, that she took a lot of flack from her members as to how they got beat. And I was out campaigning saying, they're not Democrats anymore, they're socialists. And one of their members from Virginia was almost, very, very expletive, saying that she didn't want to hear one person ever say the word socialist on their side again, because they almost got her beat. But again, this is who they are.
Well, and the party's moving that way more dramatically. I mean, then we hear Nancy Pelosi trying to hang on to her speakership and talking that she's not going to cast away socialism out of the party because you have a rising movement of that. On the other hand, we have someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez who says that unless the party actually becomes more socialist, that she's going to quit politics because she can't deal with it any longer. So I'm sensing a little bit of an internal civil war within the Democrat Party right now.
Well, if you just look across their party, years ago you might have had what they call blue dogs, and those would you call more that would have been quote unquote moderate Democrats. They're gone. Colin Peterson up in Minnesota, who's been there I think for 30 years, was defeated in his race. I think his district might be even more Republican than mine, but he held it as a Democrat for a good number of years, for all those years. But when you look at who's left on their side, very few. There was really only one pro-life, true pro-lifer on their side. He got defeated in the primary by a very far left liberal. So, again, they are not your quote-unquote Harry Truman Democrats out there or whatever you might want to call them. This is a group that wants socialism. They want to move this country to the far left. And again, when you look at all the things that they want to do, is everything from government-run health care to destroying the business economy in this country, to abortion, to Second Amendment rights, First Amendment rights, you name it. They're out there to change. They want to do a fundamental change of this country.
It's a really scary time. It really is. We're talking with Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District in the state of Ohio. Real quickly, before we get to some of the other, the budgetary and some of the issues that you guys are going to address when you get back up there, let's talk about the presidential race for just a second, because as you mentioned, the radical left taking hold of the Democrat Party. If they control the House, we still have a toss-up with the runoff that's going to go off in Georgia for the Senate seat, and then we have potentially Joe Biden as president of the United States. It's not over yet. It could be dangerous, but the media's already called it. Joe Biden's already called it. He was standing in front of a nice banner a couple of days ago saying, oh, you know what? It was the office of the president-elect. Electoral College still hasn't even voted yet. How can he claim this when it's so close, and it's there still could be some upsets based on what we find with some of these investigations with voter fraud? How can he claim that he's already nominated as the president-elect when this isn't over yet?
Yeah. Well, absolutely, because first of all, the president has the right to challenge these states that are very, very close. You know, the question about election fraud, that he has the right to get in there and take these things to court. That's absolutely essential, making sure that people that shouldn't have voted, you know, their votes aren't counted. It's important that, you know, when you look like Pennsylvania, how a state Supreme Court can change the statute of the state and say, no, we're going to allow more time for absentees to come in. In the state of Ohio, pretty much the deal is if your absentees aren't in, they're not in. But here we are, like I said, in Pennsylvania dealing with that. And let's just go back 20 years ago with the Bush-Gore race. When the race was on November the 7th. It wasn't until the 13th of December that Gore finally capitulated in that. So, you know, for the Democrats to say that this thing's over in less than a week or in a days as Biden went out there and did it is not right. And so when you look at you're absolutely right, the importance of what's going to happen in Georgia. You know, the race was called in North Carolina. Tillis won that. We're going to hold the seat in Alaska, but these two seats in Georgia, because they have their law down there, if you don't get 50%, you have to do a runoff. And so the balance of power in this country is going to hang on those two elections in January. And so it's so important that folks look at those races down there. And if we can do any help down there, call your neighbors that you might know. But they got to really make sure that the Republicans win those races.
All right, that was Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th District. That was just about a week ago, last Friday, before they went back into session, as Congress is now back in session this week, and no one seems to be talking about it because of all the presidential issues right now, but they have a lot of things. That's only like a third of the interview that we did. We sat down with him for a good maybe 25 minutes or so, so we may air part of that interview again in another couple of days, may air another section of it, but you can always go to this, go to the podcast. We're going to upload that as a special feature with just that interview with everything, where he talks about the budget, he talks about the military, he talks more about the presidential race and some of the issues going on there. It'll all be on there as a special feature, an additional podcast outside of the daily podcast. So you can go there. You can visit the podcasting site on any of your favorite podcasting sites for The Voice of Reason. You can also go to the website at HooserReason.com and listen to it that way, but we'll have our podcast and then the special feature with Congressman Bob Latta. And all my friends in Ohio, I know we have a lot of listeners in Ohio. Let's get your stuff together in Ohio there. What do you say? Mike DeWine going crazy when it comes to those mask mandates in the state, trying to lock things down out there again. We'll talk about some of that when we come back. Plus some more when it comes to the press conference earlier today. Donald Trump, is he going to win this thing? Let's talk about it when we come back here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station.
We're here for you.
Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Speaking of Smartmatic's leadership, one of the Smartmatic patent holders, Eric Coomer, I believe his name is on the web as being recorded in a conversation with Antifa members saying that he had the election rigged for Mr. Biden, nothing to worry about here, and they were going to F Trump.
There you go. Those are the ones that are owning our electronic systems where you get to vote. Or they say, no, we're going to rig the election and blankety-blank Trump because we don't like that guy, and they're telling that to radicals like Antifa going into an election season. Don't you guys worry. You don't need to cause issues. You don't need to riot and cause anarchy because we already got this. Rest assured that we're going to blankety-blank Trump because we don't like that guy. That's the one that's actually running the Dominion system. Last segment here on The Voice of Reason. Welcome back in on a Thursday. Great to have you along for the ride today. Again, one more time, thanks again to Congressman Bob Latta. We'll get the rest of the show. Probably we'll air some more of that on a show here next week. You can also get the special feature of that on our podcast as an additional download because we sat down with him for like 30 minutes. We always say we schedule like a 10-minute interview and then we go really long. So we love that guy and appreciate that very much. That was at a press conference earlier today talking about the voter issues. And again, I'm one where I don't like the speculation. I don't like the, let's put things together to kind of create a scenario, which nothing against Rudy Giuliani, but that's really his forte of it because they have about 3 different lawsuits going on right now. The media saying that lawyers are dropping out and that the lawsuits are not going through court. That's not true. They even addressed that today during the press conference. That's not true. Those are private cases that have nothing to do with the Trump team that's actually holding them. The Trump team has 3 cases right now, all of them going to the Supreme Court, so all of them are being held up. All the other cases are private individuals trying to go after the state Secretary of State or the Supreme Court, or, doing whatever they got to do. But they're not working. But that was Sidney Powell at the press conference today. As Giuliani was talking about the ballots being dropped off in the middle of the night and the printed off ballots and the fact that according to him, he's got enough evidence for Georgia and Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin and Nevada and Arizona and possibly New Mexico to be able to have more than double the amount of votes needed to flip the states back to Trump based on the voter fraud evidence that he has as proof. Okay, that's great. I'm more analytical. I'm the one that wants to see the dots and wants to see the facts, wants to see the actual hard evidence, wants to see the algorithms, wants to see the numbers. And it sounds like this is it, this Dominion software, this Smartmatic Dominion garbage that we used here that's a lot bigger than what we actually thought. And Sidney Powell is kind of heading up that lawsuit as she talked about some of the background of it being built and programmed in Venezuela, being held in Spain and Germany, and with the software and with the servers and how they could be manipulated. And you push the button for Trump and it counts as a 0.75% of a vote. You push it for Biden, it counts as a 1.25% of a vote. They stopped it. They backlogged it because Trump was just getting way too many.
People can admittedly go in and change whatever they want. They can set the ratio of votes from one thing to another. They can say that a Biden vote counts as 1.25 and a Trump vote counts as 0.75. And those may be the numbers that were actually used here. It's not just the swing states that were affected. The algorithm was likely run across the country to affect the entire election. Like I said, we only discovered it this year because of the overwhelming number of votes for President Trump in the swing states that caused the machines to have to shut down for them to backfill for adding votes. We have evidence of different numbers of votes being injected into the system, the same identical, unique 6-digit number multiple times in at least 2 states that we've analyzed so far, and I'm talking about like 341,542 votes for Biden and 100,012 for Trump. There's no explanation, no logical explanation for the same numbers being injected 20 minutes apart into the machine.
I mean, if you're going to lie and if you're going to rig it, at least be a little unique so that way you don't get caught. But when they say the exact specific number, Joe Biden received 312,485 votes. Donald Trump received 100,012 votes right here with this last precinct reporting. And it was the exact same amount within a 15-20 minute time frame in multiple states, all at the same time. When they stopped the counting to backlog it and inject more in so that way Joe Biden could get the head, even with the algorithm they set to manipulate it to have Joe Biden get more votes in the first place. When those things, if you're going to lie, if you're going to manipulate and rig an election, at least do it to where, you're not looking suspicious. But I don't think they expected us to get the servers. I don't think they expected us to actually figure out what was really going on, and that's going to be their downfall. My prediction still stands that Donald Trump remains president of the United States. That does it for us today. Podcast going up and a little bit more information to come out as we wrap up the week. The special feature podcast with Congressman Bob Latta coming up as well. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Everybody have a wonderful Thursday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.